Hey guys, it's Peace Daddy, Mr. Dollar here. Today we are going to do a lesson on the multiplication checkerboard. This is the fourth passage of the multiplication checkerboard. This is the highest level of abstraction with this material. The next step is to not use the material at all and just use paper and pencil. So this is our last practice. Again, we're going to be going over the words multiplicand, multiplier, product. Those we used in the last lesson. And then there's one last word that I want you to make sure that you're thinking about, and we've used that word since the beginning, which is place value. So my question for you today is, what is the importance of place value when you're multiplying? What's the importance of place value when you're multiplying? Okay, let's start the problem and see if we can find an answer to that by the time we're done. So here's our multiplication checkerboard, and the problem today is 6,353 times 785. So write it down. If you have some paper that has grids on it, some grid paper like this, please use that and make sure that the numbers are in their correct place value. Okay, so 6,353 is our multiplicand, so we're going to use the light tiles for that. 6,353. This is our multiplicand. And on the right side of the board, we're going to have our multiplier, which is 785. We're going to use the darker tiles for that. So we need a red 7, a blue 8, and a green 5. All right? And in this passage, the big difference is going to be carrying in your head. That's what we're working on. So I'm going to start out by multiplying the multiplicand by the units. So 3 times 5 is 15. And we're just going to put the 5 down. And we're going to remember the 1 in our head. Okay? So on your paper, that would look like, sorry about that. We're going to use a 5, not a 2. Okay, on our paper, you would put the 5 there, and you would carry the 1. Because 3 times 5 is 15, so you're going to put the 5 in the 1's place, and then the 1 in 15 is a 10. 1 and 5, 10 and 5 makes 15, so that's why we put the 1 in the 10's place. See it up there at the top? Okay. So we're not going to put the 1 on our board. We're just going to carry it in our head and remember it. So you're going to put down the 5 on the green square, carry the 1 in our head, and then we're going to say 5 times 5 is 25, and we're going to add a 1 to that, so that would be 26. But we're not going to put the 2 down. We're going to carry that in our head, and we're just going to put the 6 down, like that. Okay? So on your paper, what you're doing is you're multiplying 5 times 5, which is 25, plus 1 more is 26. So we're going to put the 6 down, and we're going to carry the 2. And the 2 is in the hundreds place. So I'm not going to put the 2 down. I'm just going to remember it. And on your paper, you can write it down. 3 times 5 is 15, plus 2 is 17. So I'm going to put the 7 there, and the 1 would normally go here, but I'm not going to put it there. I'm just going to remember it in my head. So I'm going to put the 7 on my paper here, and the 1 up there like that. So the 7 goes here, and I'm carrying the 1 in my head. And so then the last problem is 6 times 5, which is 30, plus 1 is 31. Now there's no need to carry on 31 because there's nothing to do next. That's our last number. So we're going to put 31 right there. And on our paper, we're going to put 31 like that. So 31,765 is our first partial product. 31,765. That's our first partial product. We're done with the ones place, so I'm going to turn this one over. We're just going to concentrate on the tens place right now. Okay? The work is going to be done the same. We're going to say 3 times 8 is 24, but I'm just going to put the 4 down. I'm going to remember that 3 times 8 is 24, and I'm going to carry the 2 here. Now notice that the 4 is in what place? It's in the tens place. So I'm going to put the 4 here, and I'm going back through to cross out all my old numbers so I don't get confused. I crossed them out. That's what I was carrying before. Now I'm working on 8 times 3, which is 24, and I'm going to remember that 2 by putting it up there. Okay, I'm going to carry it in my head. I'm thinking about it up there, 24. So now the next is 5 times 8. 5 times 8 is 40, plus 2 is 42. I'm just going to put the 2 down, and I'm going to carry the 4. So on your paper, that's going to look like that. Just put the 2 down, carry the 4. Remember the 4 goes up here. Okay? The next thing, 3 times 8 is 24, plus 4 is 28. So I'm just going to put the 8 down, and I'm going to carry the 2. Just put the 8 down on your paper and put the 2 at the top. Just like that. Okay, so we're carrying the 2. Next is 6 times 8. 6 times 8 is 48, plus 2 is 50, which is 5, 0, 50. Okay, so on your paper, it'll look like this. Okay, so the next partial product is 508,240. There was nothing in the ones place. Remember, when we move up to that second row, there's nothing in the ones place. So that's why there's a 0 there, because there's nothing there. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and cross out all these numbers that I was remembering before. I'm going to go ahead and cross them out because now I'm getting ready to multiply by 7. So I'm going to turn the 8 over. So I'm only working with the 7 this time. Same as the other 2 rows. 3 times 7 is 21. I'm only going to put the 1 down, and I'm going to carry the 7 in my head. And now I'm in the hundreds place. So there's nothing in the ones place. There's nothing in the tens place, but there's a 1 in the hundreds place. See it? It's right there. Hundreds place, 1. There is no 10 place, and there is no ones place. So I'm putting zeros there because now I'm multiplying times the 7, which is in the hundreds place. So the first number we multiply is 7 times 3, which is 21. And I'm carrying that 2 in my head. And if you're writing it down on paper, you put it right here. Okay? So the next one is 7 times 5. 7 times 5 is 35, plus 2 is 37. And I only put the 7 down, and I remember the 3 by putting it on the top. Like that. The 3 goes on the top. 37. Next is 3 times 7. 3 times 7 is 21, plus 3 is 24. I only put the 4, and I carry the 2. Okay, so it should look like that. 6 times 7 is 42, plus 2 is 44. And this time I put the whole 44. Because there's nothing to remember. 44, like that. Okay? So my third partial product is 4,447,100. That's my third partial product. And now you can just add all these up. You can add each column starting with the smallest column, 5 with the ones place, 5, 0, and 0, 6, 4, and 0, 7, 2, and 1, and so on and so forth, and get your final answer. If you're working with your multiplication checkerboard, then you need to do the slide. So everything that's in green ends up in green. Everything that's red ends up in red. Blue goes to blue. Green goes to green. Everything that's in the red column slides to the red column. Blue to the blue column. And there's only one thing in the green column. Okay, so we're all done. We just have to do some real quick exchanging, or you can just add straight down the columns if you're working on your paper only. So 6 and 4 is 10. So we're going to put a 1 and a 0. This is 7, 8, 9, 10, and one more is 11. So we're going to exchange all those beads for the smallest amount that we can do, 11, which is a 1 and a 1 is 11. Then we come over to this side. This is 8 and 7, which is 15, 16, 17. So we're going to exchange all those beads for 17. Which is a 1 and a 7. 17, 1, 7. 4 and 3 is 7, and one more is 8. This is 4 and 5, which is 9. And there's no exchanging to be done here. So this is our final product. Our final answer is 4,987,105. I'm gonna write that down. 4,987,105. And if you want to check that on a calculator at home, just to make sure that it's right, you're always allowed to do your check on your calculator. But I like for work to be turned in. Just like this work looks on my paper, I want it to look on your paper so I can see all of the work that you did, your partial products and your final product. We're all done with the multiplication checkerboard. That's the fourth passage. After you practice that for a little while, you should be well on your way to complete abstraction, and you won't need the checkerboard anymore. This has been Peace Daddy. Thanks for watching.